What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Captain Trucker. Welcome back to the channel. Good to see you. I'm announcing today that I have plans to temporarily leave the country of the Philippines. Yes, I'm going to leave temporarily, and my goal is to acquire and stack 50,000 US dollars in cash. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you what the future holds. We're going to discuss some other things as well. So, for those of you who have been following my channel, sorry, I'm kind of sweaty, man. I'm hot. I'm getting some sun lately. I have been building a house here, and it's almost done. It's not a big house. It's a small house, but for those of you who don't know, even building a small house in the Philippines costs a bit of cash. Not that much, but, you know. And I guess I'm still young, so I haven't fully retired yet. I'm sort of like halfway retired. And I kind of like work. I kind of actually miss it at this point. I miss being on the road as a over-the-road truck driver, sailing on land, all 48 states. I like the adventure of it. I like the independence. I like the danger of it because it is a dangerous job. And, you know, sometimes it can be fun. Sometimes it can be peaceful, sometimes stressful. But, yeah, my goal is to go back and to do that. Now, I found some mid-size-ish companies that I've been looking at that still kind of do the long hauls. So one of the first questions I've started asking these companies now is, what's your average length of haul? What's happened like in the dry van world, in the trucking industry, is like a lot of companies, especially like the Chicago ones, is they sort of put themselves out there like they're OTR, meaning they go to all 48 states. But in reality, it's become more regional. It's become like a lot of short hauls in the, you know, Midwest, Northeast, East Coast. Not my favorite places, okay? Not at all. For any drivers who know that, they know why. Limited parking, smaller roads, more windy roads, and just smaller shippers and receivers in general, and less parking. It's a huge, serious problem in the industry. But anyway, so yeah, I've kind of found these, like, I think I might be going back reefer, refrigerated, because a lot of the reefer companies are generally doing like long hauls these days, or have been, or usually do. Yeah, and I found a company, like their average length of haul is like 1,500 miles. Now that's good, because I can bang out 2 or 3 loads a week and be well over 3,000 miles, okay? The pay is not quite as high as you'd be at one of these other companies, but overall, I want more time to sleep. I want more time between loads. I don't want to spend 20 to 30 hours a week at shippers and receivers, okay? Which you don't get paid for, because detention mostly starts after 2 hours for most companies. And yeah, so my theory is you'd just drive a little bit more to make the same amount of money, but I'm okay with that, because like I don't want to be stressed out between loads. With longer hauls, you generally have more flexible time on the road. And that's a very, very, very good thing, believe me. And I get to stay more out westish. I love being west of the Mississippi. The driving experience is so much better. Big open roads, beautiful scenery. Usually parking's not much of an issue. Certain places in California, not the case. But in general, it's much easier, you know. In other West Coast cities like Seattle can be difficult. Portland, Oregon. But in general, the western states are where I want to be. So that's where I'm going, okay? And that's what's going on here. You know, a lot of guys, they get kind of caught up in these scams of being like a lease operator versus an owner-op. Lease operator or owner-op. And, you know, statistically, they really, especially lease, like owner-ops, statistically don't end up making that much more money than a good company driver. One of the reasons why is, you know, men start making a lot more revenue. And so human nature, unfortunately, you start making more money, so you basically start working less, which is fine. But for me, it's too much liability, too many payments. I'm not going to buy, $100,000, $50,000, $30,000 piece of machinery that's going to depreciate in value, that you're possibly going to have to replace major engine components and maintenance and whatnot. I don't want to deal with it. So I've always said, like, use the companies to your advantage. And why truck driving, it's the perfect opportunity for us expats to be like cash kings, right? To live minimally and to profit while doing that, okay? And this is why, like, I think trucking is the perfect lifestyle for an expat or somebody who wants to live in other parts of the world and to profit from their work and have flexibility to travel. It's perfect. And a lot of guys just don't know that because, see, guys get under the illusion of being owner ops or lease operators because they think they're getting more control, okay? Control over their loads and whatnot, but which to a degree is true, depending on the freight you have. Now, if you have like certain contracts and specialty freight, yes, you can make significantly or a decent amount more money, but the liability, the cost, it's just not worth it to me, especially if you don't want to work the whole year. Now, if I wanted to be married to a truck for 365 days, maybe I would do it, but I'm not going to do that. So I've always said, like I said, use these companies to your advantage, truckers and other people, because they really can't dictate your time off. They try to pretend to, like a lot of the common policies is like, oh, you get 1 day off for every 7 days on the road. Well, that's BS. It's not true. You go work hard for a company 5, 6, 7, 8 months, make good money, show them you're a good driver, be a good safe driver. They'll likely hire you back or let you take a leave of absence. That's just the nature of business, and that's the way it goes. And if they don't hire you back, you just go to another company. It's that simple. Anyway, that's kind of where my mind is lately. I'm getting back into the trucking game, and yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to stacking some cash, doing some more investing and stuff like that. That's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, there's other stuff going on, man, like in the land of the Philippines, man. It's interesting, Just a kind of a random side note, this war in Ukraine, it's pretty serious. It's interesting what's going on right now is sort of the public theater of negotiation, right? Because from my perspective, the whole thing now is, oh, let's make Zelensky look like the bad guy, look like a stubborn, arrogant, non-suit wearing kind of ungrateful guy. And by putting him down, it starts to make Putin look like he's in a better light, right? So it's like, well, that's kind of what it is. I mean, it's like public relations. A lot of these leaders have like huge egos, right? And so you take some of the blame off Putin, put it on Zelensky, it kind of helps bring Putin to the table. But what a lot of the press isn't talking about as far as this mineral deal in the Ukraine, from what I understand, and I sent a letter to Bill O'Reilly, and he read my letter on his show. I was proud of that. But I said, do you think that Trump is ripping on Zelensky as a negotiation tactic, to Putin, keep your friends close, your enemies closer type of thing? But anyway, back to the mineral deal. I think the theory of that, according to Bill O'Reilly, is that if there's American companies and American interest actually in Ukraine, Putin will be less likely to attack, and God forbid, attack U.S. interest, because he doesn't want to start a war with the U.S. He has no incentive to. They'll be in a lot of trouble. So that's kind of the theory, I think, behind the mineral deal of what will bring peace, is that Putin will basically be less likely to attack. But anyway, that's what he said. I'm not sure. But anyway, the whole thing about like that whole recent blow up is kind of funny. And it just reminds me of like controlling the narratives in general, like the way vloggers try to control the narrative of like the Philippines, right? And what's their incentive to do that, right? Why would anybody do that? Well, I think a lot of it's power, control, ego, okay? Because like I've said, a lot of vloggers don't exactly make a lot of money, but they get addicted to it, in my opinion. And that's kind of what happens. And so it's just kind of funny, like, they say like 80% of the cable news now and most news is basically propaganda. But you kind of see that too, like even the way us foreign expats vlog in the Philippines. Like a lot of stuff we say is propaganda, trying to control narratives. For instance, extreme age gaps don't matter. As long as she's over 18, shut the F up, mind your own business. And, live like a king off your social security check. Like that's propaganda. It's like, because it's not the complete full truth, it's an oversold idea. So I mean, like age gaps, yes, in some respects that could be true, but extreme age gaps, for instance, don't represent a population of 111 million Filipinos. They're not all running around with 60 plus, 70 plus year old foreign men in their early 20s. You don't see that every other neighbor. You see some of that in certain expat populated areas, such as Dumaguete, okay? Maybe Angeles City, maybe parts of Manila. Yes, those dynamics do exist, but they don't exist to the degree that vloggers should be going around saying it's normal with regards to like relatively to the rest of the country, because it's not. It's unique. It's different. It's not the average situation. Right? And, there's a lot of stuff to get involved in that, but yeah, it's kind of funny. I like vlogging in the Philippines. I'm going to continue doing it when I'm here. There's just a lot of stuff to talk about, but, I'm always going back to this whole premise of like, why are so many vloggers, foreign vloggers, selling the idea of more people to move to the Philippines? Like, why? I mean, it's a great place, sure. I guess it would be better if we saw more nuanced conversations about the whole idea, as opposed to pandering to just anybody who wants to date a young, pretty Filipina and to save money. If those are the two main themes, well, I'm sorry, but, vloggers are in trouble, in my opinion. Because I don't think it's a sustainable message. I think it's, I think it's propaganda, But that's one of the common narratives that are pushed. And a lot of people subscribe to those kind of messages, So that's just my 2 cents on it. But yeah, vlogging in the Philippines, it's interesting, I like doing it. And like I said, I think truck driving is the perfect opportunity for people who want to become expats. And I just hope with more channels, we can have a positive influence on these countries, as opposed to try to control narratives that maybe only pander to certain audiences and possibly just validate ourselves. And that's another thing. I think a lot of vloggers, because like I said, they don't all make a lot of money necessarily. There is a sense of, if you get a following, if you get attention, if you get subscribers and views, it almost kind of validates whatever your message is, however true or not true it is. So it's just something that I like to keep in mind. But anyway, yeah, I mean, balance and going back and forth between the US and the Philippines. I've been doing this a long time, and it's been profitable for me, and I'm glad that I don't have to work the whole year anymore. Not that I ever did, but I like the balance, and I'm grateful for it. Like I appreciate truck driving now more than I did when I started years ago. I have a new appreciation for the job itself, the money-making potential. And they make decent money these days, but a lot of people don't know, but back in the 1970s, that was sort of like the golden era of truck driving. So I was reading somewhere, I don't know if this is true, but like in the late 70s, some truckers were making as much as $35,000 back in those days. Adjusted for inflation, that would be about $180,000 today, okay? So in the 1970s, truckers were making serious money. Now they make decent money. But regulations changed in the 80s, and then mega carriers came in, and they, executives and all these guys, they started looking for more profits for them, took money out of the driver's pocket, basically, lowered the pay. They turned a lot of these companies into just, CDL, grindhouse turnover machines, so drivers don't stay at companies longer than a year usually. So yeah, the industry's changed, but there's still money to be made. And like I say, man, use these companies to your advantage. You don't have to be a lease operator or an owner-op to get ahead in the trucking world. You don't. These companies need us more than we need them. So don't forget that. That's the reality of the relationship. Now, I wouldn't recommend having that attitude with a recruiter, but you get the idea. Anyway, I'll talk to you all soon. I'm going to go for a run. It's Captain Trucker. You all be good out there. Take care. Please subscribe. Share your comments and your thoughts on this. All right. Bye-bye.